Howdy.
Hello.
Thanks for being here, y'all. Contrary to popular belief, we are not Meghan Markle.
Was there a rumor that we
Yes,
were?
yes, plenty that we are.
You can exit now.
No, girl. Don't
We won't be
ever
hurt.
say that.
No, this will be so fun. Hello, I am Bridget Coulter Cheadle. I am founder and CEO of Blackbird. Thank you.
Thank you, Blackbird.
Blackbird is a storytelling studio. We're a space for women of color to create positive change, to shift the ecosystem in work and life. And there is no better person to speak to about this than the trailblazer, founder, entrepreneur, venture, author, ingenue, and all-around badass, Arlan Hamilton.
Thank you. Hey. I've seen so many familiar faces, and a lot of people who don't know us, and they're just on their phone saying, "When's the next thing?" That's great. I like y'all too.
What I'm excited about this conversation is, if you don't know, the shift that Arlan is making, because she is generating $1 billion. It is to be, is in her book, Your First Million. She talks about the fact that we can all hit this goal and what that means. For me, money is freedom, and purpose, when it's driven by freedom, is power. And so I want to kind of go back and start a little bit with your origin story. Can you tell me about your early inspirations, your family, and what really inspired you to start this journey?
Yeah, so I grew up in Dallas. Anybody from Dallas? Yeah, I grew up in Dallas with my younger brother, Rook, and Mrs. Erlene Sims. Anybody know Miss Erlene Sims in the building? So she turned 75 on Tuesday, and she just launched her eyewear line in the last few months at 74. So I don't want anybody to say it's too late. Yes, let's give it up for her, 74. So I'll tell you who has her eyewear. I know this was not the question, but I'm going to say it. Katy Perry and Oprah have a pair of her eyewear, yes. And multiple wonderful entrepreneurs as well. So we grew up in Dallas. We moved around a lot, didn't have many resources. My mother worked a full-time job, and sometimes she worked 2 jobs. And so I remember when she would go out to her 9-to-5 telecommunications job at Southwestern Bell. I remember that. And she would come home, make dinner, take a nap, and get back up at about 11 p.m. and go to 7-Eleven and work at 7-Eleven overnight, and then come back and do it all over again. And there was something about that. I was even then I was extremely grateful to her. I think I understood that sort of sacrifice, but I don't think it's right necessarily, right? So I kind of grew up seeing that, knowing she is a brilliant person, but didn't seem to get the same opportunities as other people. And I started to question that even as a young person. And so we grew up and didn't go to college, didn't have that connection or network with Silicon Valley, but a few years later, there's a lot in between, that's why I have 2 books. A few years later, I decided to become a venture capitalist of all things.
Talk to me about what you have a lot of journeys that you've taken. You got to venture capitalism. There are a lot of entrepreneurs in this space. Tell me why you focused on venture capitalism.
Yeah, raise your hand if you're an entrepreneur. Every single person here. Okay, great. Do we have any investors Anybody brave enough to say that they're an investor in this room? Cool, amazing. So the people who raised their hands, what I see in this room today is really incredible diversity, like true diversity, right? Yeah, we can give it up for diversity. Let's give it up for diversity. I'm not afraid of Elon Musk. DEI, DEI, DEI. I think he blows up if you say it 3 times. But this room is what I dreamed of a decade ago. And I knew that we all existed. Some of us were getting more attention and resources than others. And it was as simple as that. I could decide to be really disappointed and sad and angry about the situation, the fact that we, as underestimated people, get a lot less than others, or I could do something about it. And there's an option to have both happen, and that's what really happened. I was both. I was angry, I was mad, I was sad, and I also did something about it. I didn't have any money of my own, so I couldn't become, at the time, an angel investor, and I thought that if I got into private equity, later stage, or even working on like Wall Street, that would be too late. I thought that we needed to seed the ecosystem. And seed it, we did. We've invested in more than 200 companies led by underestimated founders since 2015. Yeah.
You're really an inspiration to me. So just for background, I started Blackbird 5 years ago, and one of the spaces that I was in was a woman-led space, and her team, Backstage Capital, was there. And I just remember being so inspired and wondering what they did. And full circle moment, I actually took a consult with one of her team members as I was exploring entrepreneurship. So Arlan talking about diversity and the importance of that in this profound time is more important than ever, as diversity is truly being attacked. And the fact is, it is not only good to do for humanity, if we just go on the basic level, it's good for the bottom line.
Yeah.
So if we have to appeal to that, then let's appeal to that.
Exactly.
But you continue to go. And one thing I want to just talk about, because there's a lot of talk about imposter syndrome, and you walk with the most, first, authentic, but also this sense of self that is so strong and beautiful to see and really needs to be replicated. Can you talk about what that is? It's so impressive.
Thank you. It's what I am, so I have a hard time truly understanding what makes it so different than others, but I'll tell you why I feel confident in my own skin. In fact, and I have to give it up to Z for helping me out with my makeup today, but I said, yes, I said to myself in the mirror, I was like, you is cute. I was like, go hair. But there's no imposter syndrome. Well, I think they're two different things. One is I feel a confidence in general because I believe in myself, and that is because I believe in all of us. And I know that sounds a little corny, but it's so true. Like, I think we all have this incredible potential. I think that we're all very valuable and worthy, and we're equal. That's the most important, like we're equal. And so because I think we are equal, I believe I'm equal, therefore there's no one who really intimidates me. On the other side of that, on the imposter syndrome side of that, I have been in these rooms, and Michelle Obama talked about this in her Netflix special, where she's like, I've been in rooms with the smartest people in the world, and half of them don't know how they got there. And it's so true. I've been in these rooms of, people who are millionaires and billionaires, and at best, they're brilliant, and they're charismatic, and they're interesting, and a lot of them are kind. But on average, they are truly average people. And there's nothing that separates us and them, and other than marketing.
I love that. And I really want to drill down into that, because as someone who on paper has a lot of accomplishments, often we don't give ourselves that. And so I think that is something that we should all take in. It is not something I'm very good at. And I love that you do that. And it makes me go, well, let me walk around and give flowers too. And everyone in here should think about their flowers.
Let's talk about that, Bridget. What do you mean by that? Dig into that a little bit.
Honestly, I am a serial social impact entrepreneur. I'm a person who's tried a million things, from philanthropy to starting multiple businesses, a textile company, a design company, and I'm always searching for something. And part of it is just that connection to family and having a grandmother, aunts, my mom being the smartest people I've ever spoken to still to this day, who don't have access to the opportunities that education got me. Yeah. And so you start to connect yourself to your history and your genealogy, but you're actually your present and your future. And so when you meet people and you put yourself in rooms of people who are walking in their purpose, which you do so well, it is encouraging. And the other thing is, when you walk in your purpose, even if you don't feel sure, which honestly I wake up sometimes and I don't, you are a magnet to the people that should be in your life and who will champion you and who will see your brilliance. So for me, this entire, especially 5 years, as an entrepreneur, you may have had to write your news headline and write your brag sheet. I highly encourage that, because you write it and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, your current. So I talk about writing your headline for the future, but you're saying even your current one is more impressive than we may think. Yeah. About us. Anybody feel that? Anybody is resonating? Yes. Like because I talk about write your own headlines so that you can walk into your future. It can be a North Star, which I encourage everyone to do. What do you want the world to say about you in 5 years, and so on? But right now, that's what I'm going to get from this so far, is like, what have you accomplished so far? And I say too, here's an exercise that I've tried for a week, and maybe start today if you can. If you can remember to do this, at the end of each day, go into your drafts or a journal, wherever you want to keep this. Just write down a few accomplishments for the day. I got out of bed. That's a good one. You can start with that one. Put some points on board. I finished this email I was supposed to do. You may have even done something at work or at your company that you're quite proud of. Just do that for 7 days and collect this list. And I promise you, at the end of the week, you will be surprised. And we just don't do that. For whatever reason, we don't take stock of that. And I say we, I mean we. Like, I don't do it sometimes. But we just don't take stock. And there are a lot of people out there who are successful who are bragging. And we should all be doing that.
And some who don't do much who brag too, but that's another story.
That's
that's
another
a different
story.
podcast.
We got lists, we got receipts.
What else is important to note? And we see the statistics, we see the headlines and the stories about attacks on DEI and the lack of diversity. I learned that less than 3% of interior designers, which is one of my careers, in the US are Black. Less than 3%. It's a great career. And then you think about VCs, and you think about venture capital, and you think about investment in entrepreneurs, we are less than 1%.
I don't know the current statistics of how many VCs there are who are Black. I do know that that's grown in the last decade, thankfully, right? Anybody a Black VC in here? Crickets!
Okay, one.
Somebody lie, just. But there are more than there used to be, and that's a great trend. And a lot of it is people simply building their own, But what I do know is that in 2023, Black founders collectively in the U.S. raised $720 million. This is the lowest amount since 2016, and it is about 2 times the amount that WeWork founder Adam Neumann received for his play project, his pet project after WeWork from one fund. And if anybody's at that fund in the room, we can talk afterwards. I'm not coming after you, but it's very interesting to me. And I feel like when I talk about funds and what they're doing and kind of calling them out. I feel like I have that moral high ground to speak on because from nothing built Backstage, and there's just been such a seismic shift because of it.
And I think you standing and representing is more important now than ever, especially as these statistics get worse. But I do believe, I'm an eternal optimist, that it will get better the more that you stand and speak and tell your story and represent, and the more that every single entrepreneur in this room knows their worth, walks in their power, and just walks into the rooms with that confidence to say, this is why you should fund me, this is why I should do that. And there's different ways to get funding, right?
Yeah, and I also don't want to say that, I'm a big proponent of bootstrapping as well, and not looking for venture to come save us. I really love working with angel investors and family offices and individuals. I think we have a lot more power than we realize. And most people think that you have to have millions of dollars to invest to be able to be an angel investor, sort of thing. There's much lower barrier to entry. Let me ask this. I want to go back a little bit, if you don't mind. I know we saw that most of the room is entrepreneurs, but how many people are like creators? Oh, anybody an interior? What did you call it?
Interior design.
Interior designer.
Hi.
One person. Okay, so can we talk a little bit about that? So you said 3% of interior designers are Black, and there's a lot of things to interiorly design. Correct.
It is an entire world that you don't know, but you don't. I honestly didn't see myself in that, and I've been interior designing since I was 12 years old, and I was on blue line paper drawing out how to remodel my family's kitchen because I'm the oldest daughter and I'm the only one that had to do dishes. So it was actually a solution to my problem of doing dishes and not having a dishwasher. But through the years of understanding, there's so many different areas that you can have work in, and you can also build houses, you can go into multiple avenues, and it is where I made my own personal wealth. That's actually what did it for me, so that I could then look back, but then looking back, where were we? Where's my community? And so Blackbird kind of came out of multiple things.
Yes.
But that's
and if anybody's in LA or travels there for work, go to Blackbird in Culver City that she owns and decorated. It's beautiful, a beautiful space. And I did not know that's where you built your wealth. That's super interesting. Yeah, do you get to talk about that often?
I do. I talk about it at times.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, so I want to talk about entrepreneurship in that bootstrap. I'm fully bootstrapped. Blackbird is self-funded. So everything I earn, I put back into it. I also have the benefit of a mate who pays the regular family bills.
Like a mate, like an Australian mate?
Like a mate, like put it on the Barbie mate. No. who knowing like where, so sometimes you have a side job, so I have 2 jobs, and one pays for the overage in entrepreneurship, and it's really important to know how you're resourcing yourself. And I love what you're saying about, I didn't go to venture capital as well, and I don't think we know all of the avenues for funding yourself and keeping sustainable through that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned your mate, so I'm going to. Do you get tired of me mentioning? We've been recording some top secret stuff.
It's very top secret.
Very top secret. But I keep. But do you want to give context to that?
So my husband is a filmmaker, a storyteller, an actor, a bunch of those things, and we basically grew up together. Been together since I was 23 years old.
What?
So kind of like my right hand. I know, it's 30-something years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I've come to South by in the film department for a couple of his films.
Yeah.
So this is my first time coming, sitting in a chair, talking about my stuff.
Let's give it up.
Thank you.
I mean, I think that's important. I think there's some just behind the scenes stuff that we don't know about, and I think it's really interesting when someone is able to step out for themselves. But I just think, does anybody want to be an interior designer? Yeah, you do. You should get into it. I think we're opening like 2 people's minds right now. 2 people's minds are blown right.
The rest are like, I don't want to work that hard.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, your first million.
Your first, anybody have the book? Yeah. Oh, I forgot to ask them, Bridget, I forgot to ask a very important question.
Yes.
Okay, you're going to have to help your neighbor if the answer is yes to this, because we should have asked it before we came in and we didn't have masks. Is anyone here allergic to money?
Oh, that's a great question.
If you are allergic to money, you probably want to leave just because we're going to be talking about how to make money. Anybody? Okay, great.
Everybody's
Go ahead.
okay.
Yes, Your First Million, the book, came out January of this year. 14 people in the audience have it. I'm so proud of them, and for me, I'm proud of myself. And I'm doing a book signing at 5:20, 5:30, over at the convention center. If anybody wants to come over and feed my ego. Okay. But it's my second book. My first book was It's About Damn Time, and I hope that, that helps some people. And it really is a guidebook for entrepreneurs and those who wish to be entrepreneurs about how they can go from wherever they're starting to making their first million.
And can you talk a little bit about, we're talking about the founders of WeWork and these other highly funded people who become the B word, and...
She means billionaire, not bitch.
I thought that was obvious. I
Some
am
of them
a
do
nerd.
become the B word.
I'm such a nerd, right? Can you you have such an interesting take on what your first billion is going to do.
Oh, my first billion. So, as you can see on my hoodie, 1,000 millionaires. And every time I walk through a crowd or go to the airport with this on, someone's like, that's going to be me. And that's the point. Like, over the next decade, I hope to help create and cultivate 1,000 new millionaires. How many people think that they're going to be one of them if they're not already? Yes. If you didn't raise your hand, we got to work on that. We really got to work on that. And some people didn't raise their hand not because they don't believe they can, but because they don't understand why they should even try. There's so much. Think about anything in the world that you think is not right or that's not fair. A lot of that can be influenced by money in some way or another, or can be solved in some cases by money. And if you're upset with who sort of gets to have their say and their way in the world, one interesting way to combat that is to put yourself in a position where you have more power, control, influence by money, and to collaborate once you do. So I want many of you to meet each other here, and then I want you to grow together in your wealth. And that's how we change things for the better.
I think the collaborative part of this is so important. That deserves an applause. It does.
I'm very interested in the lady with the crown right now. I want to understand what that is. Miss
Northwest Washington, D.C.
Miss.
in the Miss Corporate America competition.
Oh, okay.
I like it.
I'll take your word for it. I love it, though. So we now know what I'm going to have to do, right? I'm going to have to get a crown and a sash. Can we spin that up, Melanie, by the time we're done here at South by? Fantastic.
Good, you can have a crown. The collaborative part that you're talking about, I want to talk a little bit more about that, because a lot of times people think, I got to do this alone, I got to get this through, and the power of collaboration is huge and important, and pool your resources, and everyone has a great idea, it's much stronger together, and can we talk about that?
So, Bridget, you're in these rooms, and we joked about this in the past, but you're in these very powerful rooms, right? What I've noticed in these rooms is that people of success do collaborate. That's how they got where they are, and that's how they stay where they are. And more of us need to do that earlier. If we know about it, we understand it's like a hack. We need to do that earlier. So there really is a way to do that now. We talk about, I have my own inner circle and masterminds and all of that people pay for, but you can start your own group of people, your own salons, your own think tanks for free right now. How many of us, well, I guess I'll ask you, how many of you have like a standing group meetup with entrepreneurs or with a certain affinity group? A good number. And anyone else who doesn't, think about what you could start. And I like to say, and I think I should be paid by this group by now, go to Red Lobster. Cheddar Biscuits. You can go to Outback Steakhouse or Cheesecake Factory, wherever, co-working spot, now I'm hungry. And you can have, we're gonna have a monthly dinner for 6 people, and we're gonna talk about things, and we're gonna collaborate, we're going to talk about what's holding us back, like one topic, one thing that's holding us back during this dinner or during this meetup, and one thing that's working. That's essentially, to be honest, that's essentially what my 5-figure inner circle is put a group of people together and find out what's holding them back and what's working. And you can do that. And so this collaboration, don't let that be somebody else's big secret, somebody else's big win. Like, we all have that power right now. And I have to imagine that if you're here and you're not somewhere else, I have to imagine that you want success and you want to be further along than you are. No matter where you are, this is like a great equalizer. Would it hurt to have 2 times what you have right now? 2 times your net worth, 2 times your salary, 2 times your income, 2 times your revenue. Anybody don't not want that? Right? Yeah. So this is what we're talking about, is like, oh, let me just find out in these few minutes that I'm supposed to be here, I'm supposed to be successful. If I have success, I can share it with others, and I can change my part of this world. And let me go out and find a way to do that.
And know your power. I love entrepreneurs. We are a unique, very insane group who's passionate about this idea and can't stop going towards that idea. The world needs it. The world needs so many of this. And it may not be that specific thing, but that thing will lead you on a path to the thing that might be that moment. And I think what Arlan is talking about collaborating is something that I'm passionate about, collective. Being an entrepreneur is a very lonely venture, and you have to have a tribe that you're checking in on. It actually is one of the highest rates of mental health issues that you need help with. And so whatever your version of coach or therapy or those, take care of yourself, build a tribe, and don't do this alone, especially coming out of the pandemic. Yeah. Our worth is not in the money that's in our bank account. That does feel good. It feels better, and it's literally just freedom to get you to the next thing. So know that you're valuable now, even if you're trying to make rent on your business or whatever that is. But at the same time, collaborate and connect and support each other, because that's what I love watching you do. You love talking to people. After we did our special secret thing, I went and saw you speak at another place, and you were giving just this information that's so valuable and so needed, and there's so few of you. We need more of you. So please be the next Arlan walking the stages, telling these stories. Yes,
and the stages can be one other person, by the way.
It could be one person.
That made me think of something. So oftentimes, as you know, I'm compared to Brooke Shields.
Oh. We all know that, right?
Right.
You guys remember that?
So
the eyebrows.
Brooke, I call her Brooke. I have never met her, nor does she know who I am, but I call her Brookie. Brooke spoke this morning on stage with Megan. I call her Megs. And Katie Couric and others from the 19th.
Kiki.
I'm sorry?
Katie Couric is Kiki.
Kiki. I bet she really is to you, though, because you always say some stuff.
I don't know her.
She says some wild stuff. She's like, I was just at blah, blah, blah's house. And I'm like, what? How? But earlier on stage, at the main event there, Brooke said that she was part of the problem when it came to part of the problem when it comes to like how women think about their beauty. And in the industry that she's in, and kind of all the pictures and everything being about her beauty, she takes the responsibility for that a little bit, because these fashion magazines and different things are causing us to feel a certain way. I feel the same way when it like Brooke, my friend. I feel the same way when it comes to how some entrepreneurs feel about raises. So I'm not fully to blame. I think, but when you see those so-and-so raises 3.2 million, so-and-so raises 10 million, 1 million, blah, blah, blah. Those are the things that get the attention. And in order to build Backstage and to build the brand, we definitely leaned into any of those in our portfolio. We were, of course, proud of them. That's the whole point. We were proud this is happening, this wasn't happening before. But I think a lot of people now, the reason, tying it back to what you're saying, the reason a lot of people are depressed or feel lonely or feel like they can't go out and get a group is because they're ashamed of saying that things aren't this $2 million raise or that they're going really poorly. But what they don't realize is that most people are going through that. And if they were to only reach out and connect, they would learn that. And then there's going to be this sort of sharing of, but what does work? And how can we? And a lot of times you'll also find consolidation. And you'll say, okay, you're working on a company that does this, and I'm working on a company that does this. What if we were to collaborate, partner, more than just as a partnership, but we were to pull our resources and become one company? That could be really strong. It's also something to think about if you are a fund manager. We've thought about this a lot, which is, okay, there are a lot of funds by underestimated people, but they're small, most of them, and they're really difficult to manage and to raise. What if 2 or 3 of these funds got together and created a mega fund, right? That's something that has definitely been a conversation. So I just want to pull the curtain back and tell you these conversations that are happening behind the scenes.
And I think that's one of to that point, doing it alone and having these expenses and maybe not having the resources to have the marketing person, so you're doing your social all the time or whatever it is you're doing to get out. It is hard, and in my circles of fabulous people doing the thing and talking to my fractional CMO, because we don't have a budget for a full CMO, to be transparent, she is consulting with multiple companies, and everyone is treading water. So, but you have to tell the story of this thing. Everyone is treading water. If the behemoth companies are doing massive layoffs, and you're here with your 6 employees, or your solopreneur, or your 35 employees, going, how am I going to keep? And you keep almost everybody, you're killing the game, and what's wrong with them?
Yeah, that's right. Anybody here find that during this conversation, they're like, actually, I'm doing so much better than I thought I was? Yeah, I hope so.
That's the goal.
Bridget, can we find a way for me to talk about how I met Queen Latifah recently?
I would love to. I have a question. I don't know, it just came out of nowhere. I was thinking about, Queen Latifah.
Oh.
And I was wondering, tell me about your experience with Queen Latifah.
Is it okay if I talk about Queen Latifah? I just want to give her her flowers.
She's dope.
First of all, Queen Latifah should have had so many tributes and this and that's. I don't know how she doesn't. Have you met her before?
I ran into her at the airport, but I was a fangirl, and so I was like, I really love your work. And I couldn't.
That's how you're supposed to be
and
around
she was
Queen
like,
Latifah.
okay, and just walked on. She's like, thank you. I'm trying to get past security. So no, I haven't met her. Have you met Queen
Well, I have met her
Latifah?
twice, but I'll tell you the reason I'm talking about it now. It's my stage, I'll say it. So is anybody, you get brownie points, has anybody seen a picture of Queen Latifah holding my Fast Company cover? Woo, yeah, the person who works with me, woo! And one person back there, I see you. Anyway, there's that picture that exists, and it's because I met her on a plane, or I saw her, we were on the plane together, and then I handed the magazine, because it was at the time, handed it to someone who was working with her, and I just said, can you give this to her? I'm walking to the baggage claim, and I hear, hey, sister, let me talk to you for a second, and she's like, is this you? And I was like, yes, it was me. Oh, that old thing, how'd you get that?
Did you place them in all the seats of the back?
No, I just literally handed it to her person
That's
who was with her.
beautiful.
And so we started talking just briefly as we walked a little bit, and it was a cool exchange. It was like a moment, though. It was a real moment. And later that day, I see a paparazzi picture of her holding the magazine in New York. That's where we had landed. And she had just been holding on to it or getting out of I don't know. So I put that on a T-shirt, and I wore that for years. And I just think she's wonderful. Fast forward to January of this year, my book has come out. It's the same week as it's like the same day later as my book came out. I'm back in New York doing a book signing, and someone comes up to me in the line and says, they've been following my work, and they are someone pretty high up on Queen Latifah's show, and they wanted to know if I'd like to come by hang out on the set for a little bit. And I was like, do you know who I am? Yes, of course I would. So we moved some stuff around, needless to say, and my family and I went to the set. And I'm not saying this to brag, but I am kind of, but I just want to give, thank you. So we go on set, we get to see some filming and meet a few people, and then Latifah comes out, or you can call her Dana, I call her Teef. And she comes out, and I'm going to say, besides my friend Bridget here, and these lovely people in the audience, Queen Latifah is the most charismatic person I've ever met in my entire life. She is she's just a ball of light. And it's not forced, as you can imagine, it's not forced. It's just like, how are you that cool? How are you that cool? And whip smart funny. Like almost that she's so intelligent that she's catching everything in the room. Like Eddie Murphy says that his humor comes from being hypersensitive to what's happening in the room. He can know when the temperature is too high or too low, and he can find something funny in that. That's what she does. Like in a 15-minute conversation, I was ready. I was like, are you going to go on your stand-up show or stand-up tour? What are you doing? And I just think that this really was an excuse for me to just let y'all know that I got to hang out with Queen Latifah for 15 minutes, but also to just say this call, like, where is her entire tribute show at the Grammys, at the Oscars, where is it? Because she is a living legend, and I'm just blown away by her.
She can do everything. She can rap, she can sing, her voice is beautiful, yes. She can act.
She does what, jazz albums?
She did movies. And I want to say, to the point we were speaking about earlier, you walk in your purpose. You are funny as hell, and you are charismatic, and you are a magnet for the people that are also that because of what you're doing. So
thank you.
It is beautiful that it's Queen Latifah, because we love her and agreed she should have all the flowers. But at the same time, I know that when we all walk in that, and that's why I love spending time with you, is like, it's just a light. There's a light that happens when you unapologetically walk through your purpose, whether it's going good or whether it's not where you want to be. And you have that, even when we talked about the origin, from very little. I come from very little in the material world, but a lot from good people and all of those things. Yeah. So I just love that you want to inspire everyone to be in their place, like be where they want to be.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's very flattering, and the admiration is very mutual. I was going to kind of go on and on, but I know that this is just going to become like a love fest over here.
We're talking.
But it's very mutual. I love spending time with you, and I just want everyone, I don't know, I can't describe it, but I have this overwhelming need, maybe obsession, with telling as many people as possible just how worthy and valuable they are. Like I just need, sometimes I can see it happen, I can see it click for somebody, and I just need everybody possible to know that. Because I guess it's because the more people who feel that way about themselves, like the better the world will be. Yeah. Because, you know, if you're feeling good about yourself, you'll treat other people better, right? We will treat other people better. And I'm just realizing that right this moment, that's why I think that way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful, and I think there's a data behind, you know, us feeling, and I'm aligned with that, and I share that, and it's why I work 14-hour days in trying to figure out and solve and pivot and do all the entrepreneurial things that we do. But there is data around the power of, you know, in marketing, there's FOMO, fear of missing out, and fear is very easy, you know, in politics, we have so many things that cause us to feel like we're not enough, or we don't have what we need, or we need to buy this thing. You should buy the book, but that's because it's knowledge. And there is also strong data around inspiration and the power of inspiration. And inspiration is equally as powerful as fear. The difference is a corporation can't just put inspiration on you. It is something that you have to be, live, walk, breathe, and trust. But it is so powerful, and the world is better if we all walk in our inspiration and understand that power. And that's the alignment I feel, and the same thing, looking out into the rooms. I've been in those seats listening and going, there's something I need, I don't know what it is, but it's already in you, and it's just you're trying to uncover it, apply to fellowships, like do all these things to give yourself, bolster yourself. But I love that part of it. I know we're gonna go to questions, but I also wanna know, what is next? I want to talk a little bit about, you know, talking about where you are right now. One, is there anything happening right now that you're super excited about that you can share, or coming up next?
Yeah, there are a couple of things that I can't share, but I'm only saying them because I want you to pay attention for later, because they're really, really cool. But one thing I can share is Your First Million Live, happening in LA, April 9th through the 12th. Some of you know about it. That's so exciting. So if you go on your phone right now, and I'm going to wait, on your phone right now, yourfirstmillion.live is a website. It's my first large-scale event. It's happening in LA. Who's going? Anybody going? Yes. Oh, cool. Okay. So, and I know half of that was my team. I'm okay with that. I have no shame in that, because I'm glad you're going to be there. So I'll just tell you a couple people that we have. We have Issa Rae. Anybody know Issa Rae? She'll be there. I see y'all leaving. It's okay. The people who get to stay are Issa Rae, Rich Paul, who is LeBron's agent. We have, and I'm just going to end it here because I'm going to, actually, who watches Abbott Elementary? So Ava, the person who plays Ava, the principal, is our host. Okay?
Janelle.
And then I'll say the last thing, yes, Janelle James. The last thing I'll say, because there's many, many, many more, TLC is going to perform. That's it. Your First Million Live, more important than the speakers and the kind of cool concert and all the fun things that are going to happen, is that it's a at least 10-year series that I hope that this is the first year. And every year in my quest to help create 1,000 millionaires, the idea is to bring on stage, almost like a graduation, the people who that previous year became millionaires. And so the idea is you're sitting in the audience year one, and year 2, 3, 5, 10, you're walking on that stage because you became a millionaire. And we want to do that with 1,000 people. So who in here wants to be one of those 1,000 people? Yeah, that's great. That's exactly the number that we need. So it worked out.
Do you want to go to questions?
Yeah, so I think we can do some audience questions.
Or do we read this?
And if you go to yourfirstmillion.live and you want a discount, use the discount code ROOK, R-O-O-K, ROOK, so that you can get a discount. Okay, let's see what these questions are, Bridget. Let's wade through that. No, we're seeing. Girl, okay.
Oh, wait, you have a question?
No, you're okay. There's a list here. I think there's like an app that we use. Yes, I say be yourself so the people looking for you can find you, and you are yourself, and I appreciate that. Okay.
Can you share some practical strategies for identifying unmet needs in the market and leveraging them to create successful businesses?
Yes, so Bridget, I was skipping that one, but thank you.
Thank you. I will follow the rules next time.
Because I'm going to have to give a TED Talk.
Yeah, this is a TED Talk. I think if you come to Your First Million Live and infuse yourself in those and apply for grants and scholarships and fellowships, this is a deep,
Well, there are some things. So if you think about your lived experience and you think about create this sort of write these lists. Think about your lived experience. Think about your interests. Like, what do you wake up thinking about? What could you spend 30 minutes or so talking about without being interrupted or without needing to research it? What sparks your curiosity? And you take that, match it with your lived experience, your skills, your talents that you know you already have, things that you might be interested in learning about, and then you kind of try to match that with what is something I can monetize and what is something that the market needs. And you don't always know. Sometimes you think you have a great idea and you're like, I need this, so everybody's gonna need this, or my family needs this, so everyone's going to need it. You can do surveys. Like when I was broke and I didn't have any resources, I still surveyed entrepreneurs to see what they needed, to make sure that I was going after this fund for a reason. And so you can do that right now. You can have, again, going back to these salons, these meetups, that could be your small survey group. Or you could start tweeting, writing on LinkedIn, putting up videos, short form or long form. Start creating a voice for yourself and a place online. And then with that audience, even if it's 50 people, and anybody in this room can get 50 people to listen to what they have to say online today. Even if it's those 50 people, starting to survey, ask questions, have people have callbacks to, start to figure out, is my idea helpful? And there's another thing, I'm big on YouTube these days, as far as using YouTube as a tool. Not only being a YouTuber, and you can go to yourfirstmillion.tv to see my YouTube videos, but really from learning from it. Does everybody know that YouTube is the #2 largest search engine in the world? Because obviously it's owned by Google. So you can actually spend the hours, and I'll tell you, you can actually spend the hours learning about things on YouTube. Now, check your sources and all that, but you can learn, you can be self-taught if you simply spend the amount of time. And here's the thing, most people just won't do it. They just won't spend the time. They just won't learn how to do the skill. Because there's so many skills you can learn and then monetize those skills because other people want you to do it for them and they don't want to do it for themselves. But most people just won't because it's inconvenient, or it's something that they don't have the patience for. And then they wonder why their circumstances haven't changed. But if you admire me or my story at all, the way that I do what I do is simply by pushing through what most people won't do and spend the time on. It's just been, it's just, there's this thing. And so I think if you take all of those things, and also you can go to my LinkedIn, which is Arlan Hamilton, go to my LinkedIn. The link at the top of the page gives you free access to my master class, which teaches you all types of ways to start, to go from 0 to the first 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 100,000, and so on, up until your first million. So you go to my LinkedIn, click on my profile link, it says 3 free months, and join my newsletter. And I spent hours and hours and hours putting together, and weeks and months putting together this masterclass. Thank you. So we'll go to this next one.
And I want to add one thing to that is, for you, it's something that is your path of ease. Not that it's easy, but it's something you're good at and you keep doing and you keep going in that direction. And one thing I'm really passionate about is, what is your path of ease? What is it that you just do so well, and what's missing, and how do you take that personal experience and turn it into something? If you start there, then you're going to lead to something very positive for you, and it may pivot.
I like this one from Javier. It says, for both of you, what is the best piece of advice you've received throughout your entrepreneurial journeys? I have one. You want to think about yours? So for me, there's a woman named Therese Tucker. Therese Tucker. I think it's Therese. She is, I believe she's in her 50s. I think she's in her 50s, mid-50s. She has pink hair, and she is the CEO of a unicorn company, which means it's worth more than $1 billion. And it's called Black something. I can't remember the name. Somebody's going to yell it out to me. But Therese Tucker, it's like a accounting software. And for years, she bootstrapped it because no one would invest. And she went through so much. And I was interviewing her, and I was having a really hard time with payroll. The day I was interviewing her, and I was keeping it to myself, but she told me the story about how she had to ask a friend of hers, or she asked a friend of hers to bail her out, essentially, when she didn't have payroll. And so it hit me. And I was like, can you talk a little bit about that? Can you tell me, how did you do that? Because it's so shameful or embarrassing. And she said, pride is not an asset. Pride is not an asset. And I've never forgotten that. And when I find myself in a position where I need to ask for help, could be monetary, but it could be something else. Could be health. It could be, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off, sort of thing. And my first instinct is, because I've been so self-sufficient for so long, my first instinct is, let me just figure this out. Let me just do this. And also, who wants to feel embarrassed? I don't embarrass easily. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm usually okay with that. But when it comes to something that's that, oh no, I can't ask that person, I hear that in my head. Pride is not an asset. It's not helping anybody for you to have so much pride that you can't ask for help. Who does that serve? So she was saying, my employees needed to get fed. They needed to pay their bills. So I was going to ask the question, and I was going to keep asking until I got it. So that helped me, and then she was able to ring the bell a few years later, and her team never had to worry about their payroll again,
That's dope. I think mine was quite a while ago. It was more about be bold and trust your instincts.
Do you remember who told you that?
It was actually an acting coach.
Oh.
One of my other careers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was that even through this entrepreneurial journey for the last 5 years, I feel like I've found my current voice, which is passionate about this type of storytelling work. Mm-hmm. And as a young actor, I've always been an introvert and a little bit shy about coming out of my shell. And it was more about saying, you have a good voice. There's something good in there. Just be bold, and then trust that little feeling between your underneath your knees or in your gut that says, yeah, right. I get it right here, where it's just like, ooh, that's right. I got to do that. And then doing it.
Okay, I'm going to look out for that feeling. Okay. Okay, I like this one. What were some of, anonymous, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Okay, anonymous.
What were some of the topics of discussion at one of your recent monthly dinners? So I met with my inner circle group. It makes me feel very like Tony Robbins-ish when I say that. But I met with my inner circle at Laguna Beach. Yes. 2 weekends ago. And I do that because, girl, I used to be excited when it was Tuesday or Wednesday, can't remember which day, staying at the hotel with my mom because they had free chili nights. So to be with my mom at Laguna Beach with my inner circle, I'll talk about it all day. But we were there, we were talking about multiple things. I'm trying to think what would be, so we talked about like a model for your company. If you have does anybody have an agency or consulting or coaching? Okay. And anybody have a SaaS company? Oh, okay. Very few. What kind of companies do y'all have, if not those? Like, what do you, throw something out there. CPG? Community? Yeah. Transportation. So I won't go into it because it would be too convoluted to go into, but the idea was essentially turning your service, your coaching or your consulting into more of a product and more of a SaaS kind of model. And we know, some of us know about like product-led sales. So the idea that you don't have to necessarily get on a phone call to close a deal. It's more like the website or the demo that's already automated is selling itself, essentially, or the SaaS product itself. So that's product-led sales. And if you don't know about that, I would research that too, because you can really find a way to kind of not be the bottleneck for your sales and converting. If you can find a way that people just go to your site, spend a few minutes on it, and they're ready to subscribe, that's really cool. So the idea is like to take that and turn that into less of this agency model of, let's get on a call, let me do, an intro call, and then I'll take 2 weeks and give you a return and tell you this is how much it's going to cost, and this is how many months it'll be, and this whole process, and then we're going to get on a call every time there's a milestone. This idea of, can you turn your agency or your consulting into a subscription that sort of works asynchronously? No, that's not the word at all. I'm just going to say async. It will take a while. It's async, where the customer is interacting with you online mostly. You eliminate 90% of the meetings, and you have it in a place where it is it's a subscription rather than this is a project that's going to take a certain amount. And so there's a retention that happens with that, there's a ease that happens with that, and there's a scalability to that, because then you can take on more clients because of the way that you operate that internally. Now, hopefully that made sense to people, but if you want to know more about that, I will be talking more about it in that free masterclass that I was talking about, just because there's definite steps to it. Yeah.
I think that's important. It's like working smarter, not harder. That trope, that it's really true, and that you're putting. I know we're almost out of time, but I actually want to ask you a question about, you are really good about getting your story out, putting it on social media. That's something that everybody can do. What is your secret? How do you do that so well and you get it out quickly? Sometimes I can be a perfectionist. I'm like, oh, I got to edit this video and do this thing and make it beautiful.
Ooh.
Tell us about that.
So I just got rid of perfectionism when I started seeing my hair online. No matter what I do, there's going to be something over here, something over there. I'm balding on this side. There's all kinds of stuff. There was a good month in January where you saw every track I had and every angle. And I was just like, if I stay there, if I get upset about that, I'm just never going to be able to do anything about, like, put stuff out there. So perfectionism is just like the ruiner. Like, I can't do that. Even though I care, I can't let that hold me back. And another thing that I really picked up on was, like, I decided in November-ish that I was going to go all in 2024 on online content, YouTube, taking that YouTube and reformatting it, repurposing it for shorter form, and driving it back to it, and taking that to my newsletter. And the whole point of it is I want to get my message out to as many people as possible. And if I want to do that, and if I want, I know that when I get my message out, it helps people. And in many different ways, and I want more people to know about it, then I make this decision to do. So for your company, unless you're allergic to money, and if anybody's allergic to money, we can help you. We should have a 1-800 number. I should actually have a 1-800 number that leads to something. We take it. And so what I do is I have a folder on my iPhone, and it has LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, X, Threads, and YouTube, all in one folder. And for 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon, I go on and I take usually the same video, and I post it. And some places like X or Threads, I won't post the video, but I'll post the caption and the same sentiment. And it's usually something from a longer form that I have on YouTube that I can repurpose each day. And then I post it, and I still post them myself because I want to make sure that I'm speaking to the audience and I'm responding to the audience, and really driving that. And I worked with an entrepreneur in Dallas earlier this year, and she's a real estate entrepreneur, and she said she was having trouble with revenue. And I asked her, like, when you post on Instagram, because I see her posting there, I said, what happens? And she said, well, people will reach out and I'll get leads. And I said, so what do you think would happen if you posted 10 times that amount? More money. Right. So that's where it really comes from. And there's not, you have to kind of experiment with it to find the correlation. But you have a phone in your pocket, and you can turn it towards yourself and say, I'm here at South by, let me tell you how that relates to my company, and talk to the audience. Again, it doesn't matter how many people are in the audience. It's about like this consistency, you becoming a thought leader, you becoming someone that people associate with a certain topic. And the more people who see that, the more seeds you plant, the more videos you put out. And I don't want to become this person who's just like overly about that, but this is the question. The more seeds you plant, the more you see that from the past coming back, and like, oh, like people are seeing that, especially long form. Like TikTok and Instagram, it kind of has its shelf life when it comes to your videos. But if you use it to promote something that is sitting there, like on YouTube, there are videos that I put out a year ago that the algorithm will pick up and sweep up into their algorithm and show more people a year later because some topic was important to people. It's an incredible tool and investment in yourself.
It's really great. Well, I know we're out of time. Thank you, Arlan, for this talk. There are so many gems dropped. Think of those. Know your worth. Tell your story. Don't worry about perfectionism. And be one of Arlan's 1,000 millionaires. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bridget.